What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. It is time for us to talk about the WWE FASTLANE 2018 card. We're going to give our predictions of the lineup that we already know, possible other matches that are going to be going on, who's going to win, who's going to lose, what are we going to use for our bathroom break, and anything else like that we want to talk about. And who is we? Well, I'm your host as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, you should know these guys by now, we've got Callum Wiggins.
I live my life in the fast lane.
That's pretty sweet. Are you a black logo with yellow lettering on the outside, a yellow like glow? Are you yellow lettering? Or are you red? Because WWE can't even decide.
I'd probably go with a nice red. I think it stands out a little bit more. But yeah, if WWE can't decide, then why should I?
And also on the line here, Robert DeFelice.
I may or may not need a car seat for this ride. I'm a very short person, but let's go. I hope I don't die in a car crash.
I wanted so bad to make a joke about something about us being slow, and I'm like, this is going to just go the wrong way.
We'll take that to the comment section.
Yeah. So if you want to have any Fastlane puns, drop them in the comments below. But us, well, drop your predictions in the comments below. Tell us what you think about what's going on and your opinions about our opinions about this as we go along here. And let's start things off with the kickoff. Right now, we don't have an official kickoff match, but looking at the card, I think we can pretty much tell which thing is going to be on the kickoff. It's going to be Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya. It has to be, right?
Either that or they put Shinsuke on the kickoff, and I don't think they'd be stupid enough to do that.
Oh, God. If they take the guy who won the Royal Rumble and is going to potentially win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, and they put him on the kickoff after having no build to his match and stuff, really, then, I mean, they deserve all the backlash that comes afterward. And I'm not just talking about the pay-per-view. I'm talking about the idea that then Shinsuke is not going to be a good champion, you know?
I think out of all the matches that have currently been advertised, that's the most likely to be on the kickoff show. But then again, they might just put all 6 of these matches on the main show and then have something else for the kickoff that we have no idea what's going to happen at the moment.
Well, right now, there's a couple different people that aren't booked for the show, and some of them stand out and some of them don't. I think that it's kind of interesting that Jinder Mahal doesn't have a match, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. There's nothing for Ty Dillinger, but he hasn't been seen since that first week where they announced the SmackDown top 10 list, where they were like, hey, you're number 10, and then we're never going to show you again. So that really helps that list, you know. It makes it seem like it's worthwhile if number 10 is above people that we've seen on the show, and you know, not actually being seen. There's nothing for Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, Breezango, the Ascension, the Bludgeon Brothers. We don't have anything for Lana, but she doesn't really have an opponent, so she's just going to be sitting this out. And no, Mojo Rawley and stuff. So there is a chance that they can pull what they did with Elimination Chamber, where they just at the last minute, Friday afternoon, they were like, fuck, all right, here's 3 more matches. We could get that. I don't think so necessarily, and I think one of the main reasons why is I think that this is going to be filled with some stupid backstage segments. I think we'll get Lynch and Naomi and Carmella and Natalya on the pre-show, and on the main show we're going to get 3 Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon backstage things. It's Fastlane. Fastlane has a track record of sucking.
Yeah, it's quite disconcerting that this show could continue going forward. The fact that 2016 and has it gone back to 2015? I don't know how far back it's stretched.
2015.
I
know the first Fastlane was really bad, but I don't remember what year that was.
Probably last year. I think last year's was pretty bad.
Yeah, the first one was Bryan and Reigns in the main event.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good match, but
that's right, because that was the match that was good, but why did it happen? That thing, yeah.
So
Fastlane 2015.
I don't recall ever seeing an overall good Fastlane event.
No, I'm looking at that now, and Reigns, Ambrose, Lesnar. I don't even remember that match.
It was a decent match, but nothing to write home about.
The Owens Goldberg thing that was just we need the belt on Goldberg so we could put it on Brock so Brock can bitch and complain a year later. that kind of thing, you know. So I'm not going into Fastlane assuming that this is going to be good. That's another thing. Like, I'm already writing this off as potentially my least favorite pay-per-view of the year. And that sucks because there's actually like 2-3 matches on this card that like could be pretty damn good. One of them in particular I know is going to be good. One of them I'm pretty sure, and the other one's like, yeah, it's a good chance. And then the other 3 are just kind of like, I don't give a shit. And unfortunately, Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya, I could not give a shit if you put a gun to my head. Like, this is pointless.
I mean, it's a women's tag team match. You
Tony,
can't have them on every show at the moment. So.
You cannot say that the women's match is pointless. Every women's match means something. Please.
Nah. I would be more into this, admittedly, even though this sounds kind of stupid because I really don't like that either. I'd be more into it if they would have said Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya versus Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. Then at the very least, you got like 3 different factions fighting each other, kind of. But
I'd be into it if it was, all right, the tag team that wins, the 2 that are on the winning side fight each other for a SmackDown title match, but I guess there's a reason why they can't do that.
Well, Natalya, for some reason, is saying that after she wins this match that she'll be the #1 contender, and I'm assuming that that's just like her character being like, I'm the best and whatever. But I really am not anticipating to see anything coming out of this at all. And if it comes down to like, this is the setup to set up a clusterfuck Charlotte versus everybody type of match at Mania, then I'm going to be really disappointed.
Well, it's the Burning Glow versus Cash and Cats, and
Did you just come up with those?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah,
I like that. That's the most interesting thing that's happened out of this so far.
Thank you.
I mean, that level of creativity, you definitely can't be writing for SmackDown.
Oh no. But obviously, Becky and Naomi win here, right?
I gotta assume so.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I assume they just do it as like, when there's matches that it doesn't really seem to matter who wins or loses, then you kind of just try and go with the baby faces because at least it gives people reason to be happy with the result, even if they didn't really care too much going into it. I'm not gonna say like the match will be bad. It just doesn't have any meaning attached to it.
It'll just be a match. Like, that's going to be it. It's going to be one of those things where if it's on the pre-show or if it's on the main show, nobody's going to care. And if it's on the main show, that'll be the match that everybody goes, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to go order my pizza now. And if it's on the pre-show, people go, all right, I don't have to watch the pre-show. Because people don't tend to watch the pre-show all that much. Like, I do all the time just in case something happens. But a lot of people are like, you know, the pay-per-view starts at 8. And then you go, oh, the pre-show starts at 7, though. And they go, yeah, but I don't give a shit. I'm not going to sit there and watch the same recaps all over again. And I don't blame them. If I could get away with it, you know, I probably would too. And you put on a match that like is like, I don't know, a United States title match or something like that, then it matters. And then you care. And the pre-show for WrestleMania, for instance, like that's going to have at least one match that somebody's going to enjoy. Usually the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal might have the Cruiserweight Championship match, you know. That stuff's pretty interesting. A random tag team match for the women's division, it's the same as if you would just have like the Bo Dallas and Balor Club, Bo Dallas and Balor Club, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel versus the Balor Club thing. That didn't matter. Nothing came out of that. And here we are a couple weeks later, and I barely could remember what the Elimination Chamber pre-show was, you know?
Well, I'm the guy every pay-per-view that's like, I gotta watch the pre-show, and my friends go, what the fuck, why, you know? But I torture myself every month, or every 2 weeks, or whatever.
So we're all going baby faces?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
What the hell? I'll change my prediction. Carmella and Natalya.
Right.
I'm going Becky in.
It's going to be a draw.
There you go. All the bases covered here.
Yeah.
Nah, I think it's going to be Becky and Naomi, just because why not? Another match that was just added this week, though, and really doesn't matter at all, which is very unfortunate because it involves the Royal Rumble winner, is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev. And the build-up for this was randomly Shinsuke Nakamura fights Aiden English, and now Rusev is mad at him. So I thought it was kind of funny at the very least in the promo that they had backstage that like led to this being announced, that Nakamura was like singing that once he beats Rusev at, I almost said Elimination Chamber, at Fastlane, that it would be Nakamura Day, and he actually sang like almost the same as Aiden English. But that was the biggest takeaway, and I'm just kind of confused about why WWE thinks that this is a good idea. Like, Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble in January, and essentially spends the entire month of February not on SmackDown. And they bring him back just so he can fight two people that are completely over as babyfaces that they refuse to turn heel? Really? Like, that's your big push towards WrestleMania? You fight the guys that are probably going to get cheered over than you? That's weird.
It does seem a little bit far-fetched. I mean, I'm looking forward to the match, just due to the fact that Nakamura, when he's on fire, he can actually produce some of the best matches in the world, and Rusev is far from the worst wrestler. So I think the match itself would be very good, but the crowd reactions are going to be quite interesting. Rusev is one of the most, if not the most over person on SmackDown at the moment, with the Rusev Day stuff always getting cheered. Aiden English is also supporting that with his singing as well. So if they expect Nakamura to be like the overwhelming crowd favourite, they're going to be disappointed. And it might give them some sort of, because I don't know, it might leave some sort of negative imprint on Nakamura's potential if they see him have this match and he's not being cheered the entire way through.
Yep. And that makes me a little bit nervous for Nakamura that maybe he doesn't beat Styles at WrestleMania.
Well, I don't think he will, quite honestly.
I mean, this match in itself, it's a good opportunity for Rusev to be fighting against someone who might be WWE champion like post WrestleMania. Whether he is or not, it's obviously still weeks to decide that. But if he stands out and has a decent performance, then he could be someone who could in the future be challenging Nakamura for the title or whoever the champion is. But they're just so like half-assed about Rusev in that they are willing to capitalize on the popularity of Rusev Day to shill a lot of merchandise and make a few like funny segments here and there, but not actually push him. They'll go as far as like get everything out there to people and keep getting the chants going and stuff like that, but we won't actually get him any closer to championships or anything like that.
Well, is Rusev over, or is the whole Rusev Day bit over? Is it kind of like Elias, where everybody loves to say WWE stands for? That's where you guys were supposed to come in, but that's okay.
Proving you wrong. Not everybody loves to say it.
Yeah, everybody loves to cheer along with Elias, and then when the bell rings, it's like, fuck yeah, Braun Strowman, kill that motherfucker.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but I think the difference with that is that Elias isn't a great wrestler. Rusev is. I think, well, he's not, I wouldn't say he's great all the time, but I think he has a greater record of very good matches compared to Elias. Elias is a boring wrestler. Rusev can be quite interesting in the ring. And I think Rusev was over before the Rusev Day stuff. The Rusev Day stuff definitely propelled it to another level. But I think he's always had a level of like popularity because he's a very entertaining and funny performer.
I mean, he's the type of guy that he's built up enough of a history for himself that some people just kind of view him as like a mainstay. And he's won a bunch of titles. I think, 3 United States titles?
Just the 2, I think.
Just 2?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's gotten to a point where people are like, all right, Rusev, he's a guy, I guess kind of like what Kofi Kingston was a couple years ago, where it was like, all right, Kofi, cool. He's like, I guess almost somebody that you take for granted a little bit.
Mm.
And with the Rusev Day stuff, then it becomes just like kind of a fun thing to say on top of it. I do think that that's more over than Rusev is right now. And if you kind of were to have the same basic idea for somebody else, that maybe it would get over with somebody else too. But Elias is a guy that he's still kind of working his way through the system, and you know, somebody who's like a casual viewer that doesn't watch Monday Night Raw and only sees the pay-per-views and stuff, they might not be too familiar with Elias, but if they've been around for a long enough time, they know Rusev by now. But Nakamura is the type of guy that they don't show enough of his personality to actually give him anything to latch onto like that. So it's almost like if Nakamura would have the support that Rusev has right now with like that catchphrase and stuff, that would get him to a point where it was like, okay, cool, this guy's like really going to be, you know, the world champion in like no time. And now I'm just kind of thinking like, this is going to be a mistake. I don't think this is going to work out all that well. I really could see a scenario where Rusev loses this match, of course. I mean, he's going to lose this match, but Nakamura gets booed. And WWE looks at this as just sort of like, shit, we should probably do something with this guy, and we don't have enough time, you know?
Well, I think that they are 100% banking on SmackDown's WrestleMania thing to be AJ and Shinsuke are going to kill it. Nobody cares who wins or who loses. It's just, hey, that's the New Japan match that we're going to have at WrestleMania because we have these guys and we're going to do it. And I think whether or not the people are chanting Rusev Day or singing Nakamura's theme or singing Rusev Day to the tune of Nakamura's theme,
Rusev Day.
I just don't think it matters because they know what they want, and all they want is the show stealer match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think even if it is a situation where Rusev is overwhelmingly cheered against Nakamura, it's not like they're going to do something with Rusev between now and WrestleMania. As much as it pains me to say, because I'm a big fan of Rusev and have been for like years now. And I've always wanted him to get pushed further towards at least United States Championship level consistently, and then even pushing towards the main event. But there's not enough time before WrestleMania. He's not going to be a priority. If he's going to be in any match, it's going to be the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. If he is popular enough, then maybe he wins that match. But as we've seen in the past, that doesn't really mean anything. Like, Mojo Rawley's the current winner. He's not even on this show. So, it doesn't. So, I don't see anything spectacular coming from Rusev being a big star in this match.
No, I meant more so the idea that WWE realized, shit, we need to do something with Nakamura.
Oh, right.
Like, that they're going to be like, fuck, we waited, and that now it's like the middle of March, and we have 5 weeks to set up everything with this Nakamura Styles thing, and we can't do anything with Nakamura with like promos because the guy can't cut a promo, and we can't just have Styles come out 5 weeks in a row and say like, hey, we fought before, it'll be fun, trust me, you know, like I have a feeling that's not going to work out that well.
That's what he did last night.
Yep.
I think they'll be fine with it, to be honest, just due to the fact that Styles is a decent promo. Nakamura will just be, I don't think he's like completely dead on promos. It'll be just be a sense of him just saying a few words and having a few like good matches with other like top or mid card names in the build up to it. I think you can live off the history a little bit with this match. You want to obviously give people that aren't familiar with their New Japan work reason to get invested in the match, but I don't think even if Rusev is considered very popular in this match, or if it's more of a 50-50 crowd split or something along those lines, they'll think, oh god, we desperately have to like change our plans for this and put a lot more focus on Nakamura. Because I just think the idea that now the WWE Championship scene won't be as crowded and it's just a one-on-one match, they'll actually develop it and put a little bit of time and effort into explaining the backstory and the history between the two.
You know how Rusev would always cut part of a promo in his native tongue and it would be like kind of a source of heat? Mm-hmm. I'd like to see the opposite for Nakamura. I'd like to see on the road to WrestleMania, he comes out there one time and they're like, yo, just cut a promo in Japanese. Like, nobody's going to understand it, but we'll be able to get the basic idea of it by the passion behind it. And it would be kind of good to see him come out and just, I don't know any fucking Japanese, so I can't even like try to make something up. But like, just sort of be like, all right, I'm going to talk about my history with AJ Styles and whatever, and how I'm going to win at WrestleMania. And he goes on for a couple minutes and it's all in Japanese, and it'll get reports on, you know, websites because it'll be like, first ever, like, purely Japanese promo or whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. People will be looking for the translation of it, paying a little bit more attention to it and stuff. And that, to me, I think is something that would even make more headway towards WrestleMania than a random win over Rusev, you know? Because Nakamura is going to come out of this. He's going to beat Rusev.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't get anything out of it. Like, Rusev just takes a loss, doesn't get anything out of it. Nakamura beats a guy who is nowhere near in that top spot right now. And there's no bitter feud. He could get booed. It's really just not the best case scenario.
It's just a match. I think we just might be reading a bit too much into it. It's just a match to get Nakamura on the show because he's one of SmackDown's big stars, so he needs to be on this event.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. I'll give them that, but they had weeks to figure this out, and this was the best that they could do, and that's really kind of disappointing.
Yeah, they could have started building it after the Royal Rumble immediately, really.
Yep.
Just like Rusev talking about how he got eliminated unfairly or something like that, or just attacking Nakamura immediately to try and assert himself and say that it doesn't matter if you're going to be the main event of WrestleMania because I'm the main event of Rusev Day, and that's the biggest deal. So
or shit. I mean, I don't want this to happen. I don't want Ty Dillinger to turn heel, but you put him at number 10 on the SmackDown top 10 list, which you haven't done anything to report on afterward about whatever. So that SmackDown top 10 list is pointless. But if you want to make something out of that, why not try to make a feud out of Nakamura he wasn't number 1 on the list. I think he might have been number 2 or number 3.
3, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 3, because Charlotte was number 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not do something where Ty Dillinger goes, look, I'm number 10. I am a perfect 10, but I want people to look at me more. I want people to look at me as number 1. You're the number 1 contender right now. I want to prove that I should have gotten a shot at that because I didn't get a chance to fight in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that would have been good.
He got attacked by Sami Zayn in the Royal Rumble. He never got his Royal Rumble spot. So you start a feud with Nakamura and Ty Dillinger. That would have been kind of cool. I literally just thought of that on the spot when Callum had said you had a little bit of time to figure it out. So this took 2 minutes for me to figure out a plan that I think would have been better than this Rusev thing.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said about Rusev. Ty Dillinger got on SmackDown because the 10 gimmick was cool to chant, and it was the over chant, and that made people think, wow, Ty Dillinger's over, but then you get on the show and they don't do anything with him, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm. It's a shame.
Yeah.
He'll be in the Battle Royal. Yeah, so we're all going Nakamura, right? Nobody's going to be like, oh, Rusev gets a random win here.
I think Sunday at Fastlane, it will be Nakamura Day.
And demonetized.
Yeah, I actually like that he did that. That was the only good thing that came out of it.
Yeah.
Let's see, moving on here. Let's talk about, all right, we talked about some negative stuff here. I want to talk about a positive thing. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. We got the Usos versus the New Day, a match that we had seen multiple times before, but it kicked ass,
Oh, it's an awesome pairing.
They really are really damn good together. And when they first kind of went with this idea that the New Day beat, Gable and Benjamin for that number 1 contender spot, I was thinking to myself, okay, we're doing this again. But then they cut that promo. And damn, that was a good fucking promo for both sides, too.
This is a rivalry built on, obviously, they want to be the best between each team, and they want to be the best team on SmackDown.
You no can tell one ever was.
But there's a lot of mutual respect as well. They understand that, it can only take 1 second, one mistake, and then the other team is the tag team champions, or they've lost the match, or whatever. And so they understand the importance of every time they face each other, it's the 2 best teams, in their minds, in the world, facing each other. So they can't afford to make any single mistake because it costs them everything. And they never know when they're going to get that next opportunity to get the title back from them. It's it really like I know people are obviously going to bring up the fact that it's the same match that we've seen time and time again for the tag team championships, and SmackDown hasn't done a good enough job of building up other teams at their level.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's going to be an awesome match, so why complain too much about it? It's something that people used to do with the I know you probably have a slightly different opinion about this, but with the Charlotte and Sasha Banks matches for the women's championships, I know they got to a point where it was happening so often that people were in such a small space of time, people started thinking, oh, even though these are continuously quite good matches or going on to great matches, that we're getting sick of it because it's the same thing over and over again. But it gets to a point where if the matches are going to be good and you know it's going to be good, then why are you complaining?
Well, I can see both sides, because I can see people going, fuck, I already saw this. I want to see something different. But at least it was damn good, you know?
Yeah.
And when it gets to a match, like we had that feud a couple years ago between Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio that I always reference, where I didn't like any of their matches. And they just kept doing them. And it was something like 5 months in a row or something. I was just kind of like, fucking move on. Like, you know, I like eating pasta. It's my favorite meal. And I love pizza. That's probably my second favorite meal. But there's only so much, yeah, very much so. You know, there's only so much pasta and pizza I can eat before I go, shit, maybe I'm going to want a fucking taco. Or like, you know, like, so I can understand people being like, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, but can I get a little bit of something different before I eat pizza again? Because, you know, if I eat pizza 3 times a week and I take a week off, then 2 weeks later, I am thinking to myself, man, I really want some pizza. And that's where I think the difference comes in here. We had these matches together, and if they would have kept having these matches, then it would have been from like, what was it, like July or something?
Yeah, it was around about Money in the Bank time or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was like somewhere around like the end of the summer, up until like, if they were still doing it and this was like their 9th pay-per-view match or something in a row, then I would be like, all right, let's move on. But we took a couple months off. And now, knowing that there's also another little caveat to this too, I'm totally on board with them having a really awesome match. And they haven't had a bad match. So, the thing that makes this particularly interesting to me, though, is they've been teasing everything with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yep.
And I am 100% assuming that this match ends in a no contest. That this is just the Usos are doing their thing, the New Day is doing their thing, both teams are pretty much evenly matched, and they're both just kicking ass. Neither team is winning. It's like, you know, 1, 2, and he's got him, and oh my god, he kicked out 2, and holy shit, they keep hanging in there, and then bam, Harper and Rowan pop up and they fuck them all up, and everybody's like, oh, you ruined it, you know, you fucking, it's a draw now, and they kind of have alluded to like being in this feud, but they don't have a backup plan for them, so they might end up wrestling on the pre-show or something like that. They might just like beat Breezango. But I do think that they're going to be interfering here, and it would make more sense to me to have them interfere before there's a decision in the match than to have like new champs crowned and then the Bludgeon Brothers attack afterward, or for the New Day to lose and for the Bludgeon Brothers to attack afterward. I'd kind of rather see, because I think we're getting a triple threat at WrestleMania, and I don't think Gable and Benjamin will be involved. I don't think Breezango, or definitely not the Ascension, definitely not the Clones, because one of them, I think it's Epico, is injured again, and
or the Rusev Day.
Yeah, Rusev Day. I think that they're going to be in the Royal Rumble or the Battle Royal, so there's a possibility maybe it's a Fatal 4-Way. I think it's a triple threat though, and I think it's going to be more so like brothers versus brothers versus brothers, and to do that, you need to do something here. You can't just have it happen on SmackDown. So I'm actually going to take the idea that it's going to be a no contest.
I like the idea that you're presenting. I think it makes the most sense. I know, obviously, a lot of people still go by the model that you shouldn't be having like no contests or something along those lines during pay-per-view events, but it's not a pay-per-view model anymore. So you can get away with putting these sort of stunts onto like the bigger shows if it makes sense for like a grander story. I think the idea of a triple threat match going into WrestleMania is like a really good idea. Just, and I know we've had our fill of multi-man matches probably at this point. Even 2018's only so much old, and we've seen so many multi-person matches.
You're probably gonna get even more of them too. That's the bad part.
Yeah, but when it's these three teams, like obviously we know the Usos and the New Day have amazing chemistry. Go back to, was it 2014 or 2015 when like the Wyatt family were having matches with the Usos, and we're saying those are some of the best tag team matches we've seen in recent memory as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Harper and Rowan are a really, really solid tag team. I know they've only been having like squash matches recently, but when push comes shove and they're actually put into a match, so it's all right, we'll give you 10, 15 minutes to do your stuff. They're really, really good. I mean, Harper's a fantastic wrestler. Rowan is good in short bursts. He's definitely not a single star as that failed experiment in 2014 showed, but when he's in the tag team and his in-ring work is limited, then he can actually put on some really good stuff as well. And the stuff they've been doing like week to week on SmackDown has been really good, actually. It's like it's a homage to the old school approach to like squash matches and booking stars to just go over with like, okay, you've got 2 minutes, just hit them with every single powerful move that you have and beat them. And
yeah,
cool.
I mean,
it's really cool.
Very reminiscent of like 1993 WWE Superstars or something, where it's like Demolition comes out, beats the crap out of like, I don't know, Eddie Gilbert and Ricky Flash or some bullshit, you know, like that kind of thing, and you're like, you know, these two jabronis aren't gonna fucking win, and they get their asses whooped, and then everybody's like, woo, yeah, Demolition. Or you know, Men on a Mission, Mabel and Mo fuck up some rinky-dink tag team,
because like
that's good sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the idea that like you said before with the Usos and New Day pairing, you like a bit of variety. So it's not like we want every single match to be these 2-minute squash jobs, but in the same token, we don't want to see every match to be on SmackDown to be 10, 15 minutes long or whatever. To just like, you need a bit of like a mix up. So having them occasionally just beat the crap out of someone, it's good when it's mixed in with, so you've got like a 10, 15 minute match in the main event. It's like, oh, we've balanced it out a lot, so it's good. And we obviously know this match. I'd like to see this match go close to half an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want this to be a long one, and there's room for it to be on the card, to be a long one. Flair, Ruby, Riott, I'm assuming is 15 minutes.
Most, yeah.
Roode and Orton, about 15. The 6-pack challenge is going to last a while. That's like a 45-minute match or something, I think.
It won't be that long, I don't think, but it's definitely within, like, beyond the half an hour range, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to factor in like entrances and the video package beforehand. That'll be like a 2-3 minute package and some stuff like that. And I want the Usos and the New Day. Ideally, I'd love to see that be like a good half hour and just let them do everything that they need to do, and then get to the point where the crowd is so not exhausted, but like
desperate to see a winner.
Yeah, kind of just sort of like, fuck, man, this is awesome. And when that 3 count finally happens, I'm going to be so like, whoo, that was a good fucking match. And then that's when you have Harper Rowan fuck it all up and everybody's like, God damn it, you fucking assholes. Like that, I think, will sell this feud.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then people will be sold on the idea that the New Day and the Usos can have that awesome match at WrestleMania again. But it'll be not just Usos versus New Day again at WrestleMania, because you'll have Harper and Rowan in the mix. And they'll be the powerhouse team. It'll be like the Usos are kind of the, well, I don't know, because it's not really like the Usos and the New Day. One of them has like speed and the other one has finesse. They're kind of like a little bit of mix between the two. Meanwhile, Harper and Rowan are pure power.
Yeah.
So they're the power ones. They're the heels too in that mix, because Usos and New Day, you can both kind of get cheered. And overall, I'm pretty much sold on that. But to do that, you need the Bludgeon Brothers to interfere here. And it needs to be before the match is over, I think.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm going to go different from you guys. I think New Day wins it here. Just because it's their favorite word, guys. It's history. And New Day wins. Usos come out on SmackDown and they're like, well, that's fine, because now we're going to take our rivalry to the biggest stage of them all, and, you know, we're going to steal the show at WrestleMania, and that's when the Bludgeon Brothers come in, and they're like, they show up with their hammers, and then it's, next week, Usos will fight the Bludgeon Brothers, and they'll get into a draw, and it'll be a triple threat at WrestleMania. It's unfortunate that it's all leading to a triple threat at WrestleMania, but yeah, I see the Bludgeon Brothers probably winning at Mania, but New Day wins at Fastlane.
If we get a definitive winner here between Usos and New Day, I would go New Day. I don't see a point in the Usos retaining, but well, I think that we're still getting the like no title change kind of thing, because I think that the Bludgeon Brothers win at WrestleMania too. So, I mean, I get my sights a little bit blurred sometimes, where like when it comes to like a Royal Rumble, there's always part of me that goes, I want that guy to win for the first time and then win his first world title. But WWE doesn't do it all that much anymore, so that kind of gets in the way. And there's always a part of me that goes, yeah, but I don't want the title to change just so it can change right afterward. But WWE does it. So I would not be shocked at all if the New Day wins these titles here just to drop it 5 weeks later at WrestleMania. And then when you get like the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers at Backlash, you know, that's kind of the rematch. And then New Day go off and do something else. The Bludgeon Brothers fight the Usos at the pay-per-view after that, which is, it's not Payback anymore.
Backlash, yeah.
No, after Backlash.
Oh, after
Backlash. What is that after that?
Extreme Rules, maybe? Don't know. Not
keeping track. It might be Extreme Rules. You know, then at that point, then they've had enough matches where some new teams can be brought in. Authors of Pain versus Bludgeon Brothers or something like that, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to say, if there is a definitive winner, I'd probably just go with the Usos. Just because if it's going to be not a triple threat and it's just going to be a one-on-one match between the Bludgeon Brothers and another team, I think it makes more sense and puts them over stronger if they beat like the team that's held the titles for a considerable length of time, as opposed to a team that just won it at the latest pay-per-view. That's just my thought process behind it. But I agree with Tony that I think that it's more likely that there's going to be some sort of interference and it leads into the triple threat.
Either way, I'm more excited for this than I am anything else on the card. And that's quality, not just not even just the match quality, just as far as how do they go about the ending. Like nothing else interests me as much, which is kind of strange.
I didn't drone on about this because Tony covered it pretty well, but the promo that these two cut, was it last week?
2 weeks ago. Last week, technically.
It was such a good, intense promo, and I think that's what's missing from the company in general, and that really sold me on this match. That's why I think it's going to be the best match on the card, because I think they believe what they're talking about and what they're going out there to do.
Yeah, they're actually passionate about the tag team division, as opposed to, like, I got the feeling, I don't know about you guys, I got the feeling that that wasn't a scripted promo as much. Like, that they told them, go out there, talk about what you want to talk about, make sure you hit these kind of outlines, and that's it. Like, that's not the same type of promo that we normally get. They could trust the New Day by now. I mean, they've proven that. They go out there and they just do, like, some weird shit. And I think that the Usos have kind of built up enough goodwill that maybe they don't script everything that they do, too. But the fact that they called out these kind of things about, like, that they... 9 years and the Usos have never had a WrestleMania match outside of the pre-show? That was like, that can't be true. And I looked it up and I'm like, holy fuck, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, 9 years. They didn't even get like a fatal 4-way fucking tag team turmoil match or something. Like, wow, okay. That's good that they bring that kind of passion into it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I saw more passion selling me on this tag team title match that I have already seen like 6 times in the past year. Then, say for instance, we could talk about this match next. The SmackDown Women's Championship match, Charlotte Flair against Ruby Riott. I don't care. And like, I know people are going to be like, oh, you said that about the women's thing. No, I just don't care about this at all. And I wrote up something on Bleacher Report a couple days ago of ways to fix the most disappointing storylines right now or something. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I really don't want to see Ruby Riott versus Charlotte Flair to begin with all that much, but I'd care more about it if it would be a feud about like Ruby Riott being like the alt chick and Charlotte Flair being like the stereotypical like cheerleader tall blonde kind of thing. They incorporated a little bit of that into what they were talking about for this week, but it still became more of let's talk about Ric Flair. And I'm like, I like Charlotte better right now than I have ever liked Charlotte. I want them to get away from the Ric Flair stuff. And Ruby Riott with the Riott Squad, they just don't mesh well. I don't think Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott are a good team.
They were brought on to SmackDown to be Absolution Light, and they came at the worst possible time, and they came around to be lost in the shuffle because I don't see Ruby winning here, and I see whatever they do being filler at WrestleMania. So it's unfortunate that maybe they'll have a good match. And I'll be honest, I liked the promo that they had last night on SmackDown. I thought it was almost as good as what they were doing with the Usos. It gave story, it gave context as to why we're even seeing this match. But then you just know that Charlotte's not losing. So it's kind of useless.
That's the thing. She can't lose. There's no way Ruby Riott holds this title going into WrestleMania. It can't happen. Unless Charlotte gets like injured, you know.
Yeah, I think I like I said, like Robert was saying, like the promo was good and it does add a bit of context and story to why there's actually a rivalry between these two. But it happened far too late. And it seems so backwards that that's the thing that you do going into like the week before the show. It's not the thing you do to start the feud.
Yeah. This should have been the first thing that they should have cut.
Yeah. Instead, you start off with, I mean, the issue with this feud is not the match is going to be bad or anything like that, because Charlotte's obviously a great wrestler and Ruby Riott has shown like flashes of excellence both through NXT and then coming onto the main roster. But it just felt so generic. It's been the same way since the Riott Squad ever came onto SmackDown. They're three women who just take on three other women at any other time, or they take on them in other tag team forms and get involved in interference or something like that. They don't actually have a lot of character or reason for existing. No. And any chance they have had to like try and convey why they're together and why they're doing what they're doing, it hasn't come across in a very memorable or outstanding way. Like, I don't know what links them all together besides the fact that they were all in NXT at the same time. They all came up at the same time.
Even they didn't really. Like, Ruby Riott came after Liv Morgan and before Sarah Logan, Sarah Logan was never really a part of, like, the main NXT roster.
No.
So they really don't, like, the only thing connecting them is they all wear a Riott Squad shirt. So.
Well, I'm gonna try to see what you guys think about this. Sarah Logan should be on her own. She could be like the lone wolf, scrappy girl. Ruby Riott, you know, she's the alternative punk rock chick on her own. Liv Morgan and Carmella could be better than Lay Cool if they put them together.
I would tweak it a little bit. I would say Ruby Riott should be on her own. Liv Morgan definitely with Carmella. I was hoping that you would go that way. Sarah Logan, she should still be in NXT.
Oh, she definitely should be.
I don't think she's main roster ready at all.
Absolutely.
Out of all of those women that were brought up in, like, the 6 women that were brought up in the span of 2 days, she is the least polished wrestler out of all of them, which I'm surprised to say with, like, both Sonya Deville and Liv Morgan both in there as well. I mean, Liv's actually got a lot. Mandy, I always saw a little bit of potential with, more just because of her character work as opposed to anything else. Like, her character can kind of carry her through matches.
Yeah.
But, and also I hadn't really seen her that much. I mean, I'd seen bits and pieces of Sarah Logan, both like on the independent scene and when she was in the Mae Young Classic. And she's worse. She's worse than I ever remember seeing her. Now she's on SmackDown.
Well, because on the Indies, she was Crazy Mary Dobson, and she was kind of doing like a what do they call her in TNA? Rosemary, kind of like crazy chick gimmick.
Like
and
Nikki
now,
Cross?
not necessarily, but with face paint, you know? And now she's kind of like, yeah, I'm from the woods, and I eat
I'll
wolves.
wrestle a gator.
I eat wolves, and I wrestle gator. You know, it's fine. I mean, I know why they called them up. They wanted to do the Women's Rumble. But even if you were going to call the same number of people up, I would even flip it and say Logan and Riott with Paige. Or not. Yeah, Logan and Riott with Paige. Leave Sonya on her own because she's an MMA fighter. I never understood why she needs a crew anyway. And if you're going to do a trio, put Mandy with Liv and Carmella.
Well, I was gonna like one of the biggest questions I've always had about the Riott Squad is why is Ruby Riott the leader? Like, what has Ruby Riott done in her time, both like on NXT or the main roster, that makes her a leader of anybody? Like, she never won the NXT Championship. She barely wrestled for the NXT Women's Championship, let alone like came close to winning it. She barely has any more like. She was in NXT for less time than Liv Morgan was, so Liv Morgan is the most experienced, at least in a WWE sense of things, out of all the three. So, because with the Paige thing in Absolution, you can understand that she's a multiple-time women's champion, so you'd imagine that someone like Sonya Deville or Mandy Rose want to try and not so much leech off her,
but learn from her.
But learn from her, use her influence to accelerate their own careers. Whereas Ruby's just is basically on the same level as Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, maybe a better wrestler, but still on the same level. But yet she's the namesake of the entire group.
Because the Riott Squad sounds cooler than the Morgan mamas.
You only live thrice or something.
Oh yeah, I mean I understand the stupid WWE logic behind it, but it's more about the sense of you need to convey. If you decide you're going to go down that route, you need to convey that message across. And I know they're trying to do that because Ruby's the one who's going to be challenging for the Women's Championship.
But it's just kind of not good enough yet.
Yeah, they didn't do enough in the early stages to cement her as not as much just the leader, but the person who beats all the other people. It's not like she won any major matches before, like between the Royal Rumble and now that she's won matches against Becky Lynch and Naomi. But it's not like immediately after she was called up, she was winning matches like immediately.
Right.
Like she was pulling out like big wins over.
That's
Becky
the thing.
Lynch, Naomi,
there really isn't anybody on SmackDown that you can get a big win over other than Charlotte.
I understand that, but it's kind of more in the sense of when they were called up, they should have been like Ruby should have been immediately the next challenger for Charlotte's title.
They couldn't do that because they had the Royal Rumble to get to.
Yeah, and that's why they shouldn't have brought them up around that time.
Yeah,
I really think that this would have been better off if only Ruby Riott would have popped up.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, I mean, you were saying before about, like, the idea that they don't convey that she's really the leader, and the only way that they do that is through her promos, and her promos are not all that great, so it's not like she's just, like, killing it on the mic, and she's got these two people to back her up. It's really just so much more... Like, if Liv Morgan cuts a promo, she doesn't really say anything. She just goes, like, and we're gonna win. They don't really give her a chance to talk all that much. Thankfully, they don't give Sarah Logan that much. There's we were joking about the whole alligator thing. There's like a line from, I think it was like a Saturday Night Live sketch or something like that, where somebody, it reminds me every time that she's going to get the mic. It's something like, they're like making fun of like somebody in the South, and they're like, you know the saying, Bobcat can eat all the chili he wants, doesn't mean he's going to crap diamonds. And, like, that's the kind of crap I imagine coming out of Sarah Logan's mouth all the time. And then Ruby Riott is, like, the one that's supposed to be, like, the powerhouse, like, she's going to drive home the message. And she just kind of goes, like, yeah, I don't like you, and I don't like you, I'm going to win, and then you're like, oh, she's doing the whole struggling thing that everybody else does, where she laughs and looks to the side, which Sasha still fucking does. But anybody who pays attention to that kind of stuff, like myself, just goes, "Ooh, she doesn't know what she's doing." you can tell who's comfortable and who isn't.
Mm.
Like Alexa comes out and she just fucking does whatever. And she even pulled off that whole Elimination Chamber thing where it was just kind of like, I'm going to pretend to cry, and then I'm going to be like, nah, I'm still a bitch. Asuka, you can tell she struggles, but she struggles with English.
Language barrier, yeah.
Not
she doesn't struggle
yeah.
with her, her confidence. She knows what she wants to say. She just has trouble saying it. Nia Jax, for her credit, has gotten better at being on the mic and more comfortable. And Charlotte has gotten a lot better, I think, now that she's a babyface. Like, she has a lot more confidence, I think, and she's not trying too hard. I like her so much better now. Yeah.
I've gone the complete opposite direction in that sense. I think her promos have regressed a lot. And it's more along the lines of when she was a heel, I can kind of get on side with the fact that she talks in a very kind of not generic, but like very like monotone sound, because it sounds like she was trying to talk because she's better than everyone else. So she was talking in a style of like, I am the queen and you must listen to me type thing. Like, it sounds quite monotone, but you can imagine like some bitch being like that. It's like someone who's just like, oh, I'm so much better than you, so I'm just going to talk in a very uppity way. And she still talks like that, but she's a babyface. So I just like go, why are you talking to me like I'm an idiot or something like that? Like, I'm supposed to like you.
See, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe from my point of view, she doesn't talk as much, so I enjoy it more. Maybe it's that. I don't know. I buy it a little bit more with her. Like, even something as simple as, like, when, on the Mixed Match Challenge, when she and Roode fought, who was it? Oh, Nia and, Cruz. Or, well, I can't call him Cruz anymore.
Nope. Apollo.
So, Dana Brooke is out there, and Charlotte's like, oh, hey, Dana. Oh, look, it's my protege. Like, that kind of stuff, like, she seems to be having a little bit more fun with. But Ruby Riott is not selling me on being this, like, impressive character.
No.
All I know about her is what I can see when I have the screen on mute. You know? She's edgy. Ugh. Yeah, I've got a fucking piercing all over the place and tattoos and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not your character. That's your look.
Well, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She's probably still a little starstruck because she spent a lot of time on the independent scene, and she just got to NXT and spent maybe 6 months before all of a sudden you're on SmackDown every week. So maybe she's still finding her footing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So you should better find it soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case of like, if you're fighting for the championship, you kind of need to be there at that level almost.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just not something that I'm sold on. Like, this feud is just blah. It's fine. It's not, like, offensive. It's not like some, you know, they're not putting Hornswoggle versus Brock Lesnar and trying to sell me on it. It's fine. But I don't care. You know, that's the thing. Like, I just want them to fast forward. Just tell me that Charlotte retained and tell me whether or not Asuka's fighting her. That's all I care about.
Speaking of...
that's the thing I was going to bring up. Do you think that Asuka's going to turn up at the end of this match?
That, I don't know. That's tough because there's a very good chance that Asuka just pops up and they go like, whoa, look at that. She did that. And that means that she's going to fight her. And now we got people buzzing. But I got a feeling that they might want to just save that for a TV episode.
Potentially, yeah.
That also kind of sucks a little bit because then they kind of make you go, well, if she announces that on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown doesn't get the announcement. If she announces it on SmackDown, then by the Monday Night Raw after Fastlane, we're going to be going, oh, I guess that she just fights Charlotte because they didn't say anything else, you know?
Yeah.
But they are still being so adamant that Asuka is fighting Alexa Bliss.
I think after what happened with the backstage segment between Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, it's so glaringly obvious that's the match at WrestleMania.
I still think it's going to be a fatal 4-way, but
I think it's fatal. I was thinking it's going to be a fatal 4-way with Sasha Banks and Bayley now as well.
Yeah,
but it's obvious that Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss are going to at least be fighting at WrestleMania. In whatever configuration it is, they're still going to be fighting. So it makes the most sense to have Asuka come out at the end of this match, like when Charlotte's won, and say, okay, I'm definitely challenging you, because then you're not left in some sort of limbo between Raw and SmackDown of like, oh, Asuka's going to have a match on Raw this week and then she's turning up on SmackDown. It's like, what was the point of that, really? Because then
that's the thing.
you can immediately go into the episode of Raw with Alexa Bliss going, I guess Asuka realized that she couldn't handle a goddess at WrestleMania, so I guess I won't be having a match at WrestleMania or something like that. And then they go into this probably multi-women's battle royal or something like that to get a number one contender.
That's where I would suggest it. That's where they need to do it. Because if they don't, then on Monday Night Raw, Asuka is still fighting Alexa Bliss, and then she either says no, and then SmackDown becomes, oh, I guess we're getting that, or they do the whole like, well, let's wait another week, and I think it's better if she just pops up after Charlotte wins.
Yeah.
Well,
but we're all going Charlotte winning, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was the first time on Monday that I realized Michael Cole was very adamant about saying a champion. He refused to say Asuka versus Alexa for the first time. And then when I saw that backstage segment, I realized, okay, so it's Alexa Nia at least, and Asuka's probably just going to show up when Charlotte gets rid of Ruby Riott. The only problem I have with that is now you have two Japanese superstar baby faces potentially as champions coming out of WrestleMania, and then they can't really cut promos, you know?
I don't think it's a major issue. Just along the lines of thinking that I know there's so much emphasis on promos on like any form of like major WWE TV, but Asuka's, while she hasn't got the strongest grasp of English, I've never had a trouble really understanding what she has to say. Maybe that's just because I'm not American, so I can usually enunciate hear people talking properly. But it's more along the lines of like, and Nakamura's obviously his English is worse than Asuka's, so he'll probably have a bit more difficulty. But I don't really think that too many like actual fans are going to have so much issue with the fact there's two Japanese champions.
I wouldn't think that it would be an issue, but I think that it is an issue, the fact that they're both on SmackDown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's like the program that's already struggling, kind of, because they've kind of proven a little bit that in-ring work doesn't really get views as much necessarily. And if you rely on Asuka and Nakamura just being silent champions that don't build any storylines, I mean, look at the storyline between Shinsuke Nakamura versus almost anybody this year. It really hasn't been a story to follow. So if you get with that, and you get that as your main championship, and on top of that, you also have the main women's championship, or the only women's championship, being the same type of thing, where it's like it's just the streak plus who's going to fight Asuka next, then I think that SmackDown's going to be struggling.
Well, can we be real and admit that if they go this route with Asuka, Carmella's cashing in on Asuka and breaking the streak with the briefcase?
I think she's cashing in on somebody on Raw.
No, I think she's cashing in and failing. I think she'll get beaten by Asuka trying to cash in.
I think Carmella cashes in at WrestleMania with Asuka.
Not
this WrestleMania?
It won't be WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania.
Zero chance it will happen at WrestleMania.
Well, at the very least, we got a bunch of different possible options here.
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean, I'm not saying like the possibility's still definitely there, but if they did that, it's not the type of heat they'd be wanting. Let's put it that way. It doesn't put heat onto Carmella. It puts heat onto the writing team. It's that sort of heat.
Well, excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah. Decided that I was going to drink a thing of water at the same time that I was going to talk. That was real smart. At the very least, we know that Charlotte is retaining here against Ruby Riott. That is not something in the question at all. She has to retain, and then it's just a matter of where do we go from there. Do we do the Asuka match? Do we have confirmation of that right afterward? Do we wait? Do we get some kind of clusterfuck? I don't know, but Ruby Riott ain't winning the title. That's for sure. A little bit different, though, is the United States Championship match. We've got Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton, not versus Jinder Mahal. And I'm assuming that the reason why is possibly twofold. Number one, maybe we're getting a triple threat at WrestleMania, which is like, God, how many triple threats and stuff can we get? Number 2, they have a 6-pack challenge. I don't think that the original plan was to do a 6-pack challenge. And I think that they were going to do Roode, Orton, and Mahal. But then they started to realize, well, we can't really do like a 6-pack challenge and a triple threat on the same card and make that not seem like it's just repeating itself, sort of. So instead of trying to figure out some other alternative, they kind of just decided to let Jinder Mahal just kind of linger. And I don't know, I hate the idea that I'm defending this, but I think that Jinder Mahal should be in the mix here. This Roode and Orton feud with Mahal kind of on the sidelines is just awkward. Why does Mahal care if Roode respects Orton? What is the SmackDown top 10 list? Why can't this just be Orton wants to beat Roode? Like, it's a weird kind of thing, and you'll see my article posted a couple days from now. I already wrote it up last night, though, about potential heel and face turns. I can see either Roode or Orton turning here. And that's really the only thing I'm all that interested in. I like Roode and I like Orton, and this could be a good match. And I mean, spoiler alert for my fantasy booking, I have this match as a match that I wanted to see at WrestleMania. But for Fastlane, I'm not buying into it all that much.
It's because it's gotten so convoluted with the Jinder Mahal involvement and this SmackDown top 10 list, which doesn't even seem to be a thing anymore. It didn't need all those smoke and mirrors attached to it. It could have just been Orton, like Bobby Roode has a match, Orton hits him with an RKO after the match, starts a feud because he wants to be the United States champion. That's all it needed to be. Or Roode is looking to cement his position as United States champion, so he wants to challenge one of the biggest dogs on SmackDown, and so he gives an opportunity to Randy Orton. That's like all it needed to be, but they just added so many like other wheels to this that it's just becoming very lopsided. I think based on what the stories they've been telling on SmackDown, Mahal should definitely be in this match. And I'm not entirely convinced that he won't be, but whether it's announced like during the show itself or slightly beforehand. I mean, Mahal did beat Randy Orton in the latest episode of SmackDown, so he has a claim to be in the match.
Well, I'll be honest. Roode versus Orton is one of my dream matches. I wanted to see this match for a long time now. Never thought I'd see it on the B show for the undercard title with some weird ranking system involvement, but I want this match to stay the way it is because I wanted to see it for so long. I think they added Mahal into the picture because they don't necessarily want to drop him completely after building him up so much last year. And I think they're also getting themselves ready for the multi-man cluster that seems to be designated for the U.S. title this year. I'd like to just happily play Fantasy Booker for a second and say, what if we finally get Randy Orton versus John Cena one-on-one at WrestleMania, and it happened to be for the SmackDown mid-card title?
Man, that should have been WrestleMania 24.
Oh, yeah.
Triple H never should have been involved in that.
I don't think you should class that as fantasy booking, because that's probably most people's hell rather than fantasy.
That match, like a lot of matches they're suggesting for John this year, could have happened at any point in the last 10 years and been more meaningful. But, you know, who knows? With the way they're going, we might actually get some type of Cena and Orton involvement. Maybe they're both relegated to the multi-man cluster. You know, you never know with this company right now.
I mean, I'm of the mindset that, like you said, Tony, there definitely could be a turn in this match if it stays the same way. It seems quite odd that, because both of these two, they can work as baby faces, but they've both excelled as heels.
Right.
Like, Roode has not felt anywhere near as important as he did in NXT because he's not a heel. And a lot is down to the fact that he's not a heel. Like, obviously, people knew that he was going to get cheered because his entrance is so catchy and people love to sing along with it, but he could have still been a heel. Like, it's like one of those things with the, like you talk about, like the Rusev Day or the 10 chance, stuff like that. Once people do that, they get that out of their system, or the walk with a liar stuff, they can still boo the guy, whatever, after that point. Just get the fun part out of their system, and then they get involved in the person, like actually, like actively hating the person.
Well, the rumor since Roode debuted was that if they turn him heel, they're taking away the glorious thing.
That would be so stupid, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
It doesn't mean need to do that. You could have like a thing like when Kurt Angle's getting the "You Suck" chant or something like that. He used to just stop coming out to his entrance, or he used to just be criticizing the fans when they were chanting along with it. So you could have something like.
But then you're stepping on Ziggler territory.
Well, who cares about fucking Ziggler?
Ziggler's in a weird fucking spot right now. We'll talk about him in a minute, but.
Well, you could just do something like you have the glorious thing go on for a little while, and then Roode gets annoyed with people singing along with it, and then he just cuts the music. I know that is stepping on Ziggler's territory, but I don't really fucking care because Ziggler doesn't matter. So give it to someone who actually does have potential. So
well, it's kind of one of those things where I really want both of these to turn heel, and I want them to fight other people.
And then you get them a whole babyface turn.
It finally happens.
Yeah.
No, I want these two to fight each other. I want them to have a really good match. I want them to have a good feud, but one of them needs to turn. And I almost kind of want maybe Randy Orton to turn, and then a month later, Bobby Roode turns after the feud is done. And because I think that there's a lot of pairings that we can do that are a lot of fun. Like, I think that Randy Orton versus AJ Styles has to happen. And I think that Bobby Roode versus Seth Rollins would be a really good match. Or, like there's some different varieties there. A heel Randy Orton fighting Braun Strowman could be fun. And there's a couple different varieties, bouncing around here and stuff. But I also kind of think that with Jinder Mahal being in here, maybe nobody does turn heel right here, too. Maybe this drags on a little bit, and maybe the Superstar shakeup gets in the way a little bit too. So it's kind of weird because I think between the mix, Mahal is the definitive heel. Bobby Roode and Orton are both kind of, they're baby faces right now, but they could play the tweener. And maybe they're going to go with like tweener heel instead of babyface heel. Or babyface tweener heel. And right now, if somebody in WWE is listening to this, they're like, you're throwing out all these terms. I don't understand. But I don't expect a title change. I think that maybe Mahal gets involved, but I don't imagine the Bludgeon Brothers getting involved and causing a no contest and Mahal getting involved and causing a no contest. So part of me is kind of hoping that somebody does turn, and maybe it's like, I'd like to see a scenario where maybe like Bobby Roode retains the title by low blowing Randy Orton when the referee doesn't pay attention.
That'd be cool.
Because that way, like, the setup for this has been, does Bobby Roode respect Randy Orton? Maybe it'd be kind of cool if Mahal was right and Bobby Roode doesn't. Like, that'd be kind of fun.
I think out of the two, if one of them is to turn heel during the match, I would go with Roode, just due to the fact that I think Orton works better as, they both work better as heels, but I think Orton can work better as a babyface than Roode has been. Like, he still gets a lot of, like, buzz from the fans with, obviously, the RKO and other moves in his arsenal. He still gets, like, a quite big reaction, despite the fact that a lot of people consider him to be quite stale. He does still evoke a positive response more often than not, especially among the more casual fans. So I would have him stay as the babyface in this, like, if the feud is to progress forward, and have Roode be the one to turn heel because he needs something to reinvigorate his character a little bit.
Well, if I was going to see one of them turning heel, I would put my money on Orton with a low blow, trying to tell the story that, like, hey, I'm still vicious. I don't know why I wasn't number one on the top 10, since that seems to be whatever they're fighting about. But because of the bizarre Mahal involvement here, I'm going to say both men are laid out. Jinder steals the title, and that gives your reasoning for a ladder match of any kind at WrestleMania.
And they go back to the R-Truth scenario. Great.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second. That was not our truth deal. That was just Dean and Wade Barrett, and they threw about 7 people on top of them, which is exactly what I see them doing here. Except, Jinder will steal the title because he's like, America, you suck, and I should be your champion, so I'm just gonna take the belt. And then for whatever reason, just to get everybody on the card, it'll be Jinder, Roode, Orton, Ziggler, Corbin, and I don't know, anyone else on the fucking roster.
Well, we're talking about clusterfucks. Let's bring up that main event, that 6-pack challenge match, which it was AJ Styles.
Did you even say he was going to win the Roode Orton match?
I'm thinking Roode's retaining.
Yeah, I'm going no contest.
I'm going Roode.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Just in case people were just wondering, who actually do you think's going to win? Don't just talk around the match.
Find out on the post show.
The theme of the show is uncertainty, it seems. Like, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't have a clear direction except for the match we're about to talk about.
Well, even that, I'm arguing that they don't have a clear direction, because they started this off and it was AJ Styles versus either Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. Then it became both. Then it became Baron Corbin. Then it became Dolph Ziggler. Then it became John Cena. And I'm like, God damn, man. The Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing, I'm really hoping this doesn't just become those two fighting each other at WrestleMania. We've seen it a bunch of times. It doesn't need to happen at Mania. And if they can't think of something better. Yeah, that's the problem with it, though, is that's not good enough. They have literally fought each other so many times that they have done a you won't fight each other anymore match and followed it up 2 weeks later or whatever with another match. And then we've had 15 since then. So, yeah, I don't care anymore about Owens versus Zayn. And it's the same thing as what it was last year with Owens and Jericho, but just not as fun. And I'm really hoping that Owens should be the champion, I think. This guy just keeps getting screwed over. Sami Zayn, I think he should be at least in the mid-card mix. And I'd rather even them be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal than they get their own segment this year. Which is really a shame. And the same thing goes for Baron Corbin. Like, Baron Corbin is not all that great, but I feel bad for the dude. Like,
he got screwed.
This year just sucked balls for him. Even though he accomplished some things, they just did not want to give him anything. He went at the beginning of the year and he was fighting Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. It gets bumped to the pre-show. Then it seems like, well, maybe we're not going to have him win the Intercontinental title because we don't want that to happen on the pre-show. But then he just doesn't win it. And then Ambrose leaves with the Intercontinental title, and suddenly Baron Corbin has nothing to do. A couple of months later, they set up this whole thing with he wins the Money in the Bank, and then it's like, okay, well, they're giving him something to kind of offset that. I don't want him to be the champion, but at least he gets Money in the Bank. And then he loses. Then he starts a feud with John Cena, and he loses. Then they try to make up for it by giving him the United States title, and he starts losing to Sin Cara. And it's just like, what? Now you're losing to Sin Cara? He's not even around. And then he loses the United States title, and now he's hanging around here. He'll be in the Battle Royal. He's not going to do anything here. He's here just for another person. And I feel bad about Dolph Ziggler a little bit too, but at the same time, I don't really want to defend Dolph Ziggler right now.
I'll do that. I'll do that when I have to talk.
I mean, I'm not full blown on Callum's side of like Dolph Ziggler sucks and stuff. I still think he has so much to offer, but I don't get the impression that he gives a shit right now. And if he doesn't, and WWE isn't going to do anything with him, he's not even a full-blown heel or a babyface right now. And I don't care. He's not going to be winning this match. He's probably not even going to take the pin. Just whatever, you know? I'll save the John Cena stuff for a minute, though, but how do you guys feel about the Owens-Zayn thing? Let's start there.
All right. Oh, go ahead, Cal.
Oh, thank you very much. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Which, I mean, maybe I'm going a bit too far with that, but it's more along the lines of they just got together again after around about Hell in a Cell time, and they're already going to feud again. It just seems such a waste of time. It's the main positive that's come out of it is that it's established Sami Zayn as a good heel, and even in this scenario between the two of them, he's the heel in this scenario. He's the one who's like says that he's going to do good by Kevin Owens, he's going to lay down for him or anything like that, and then he's hitting him with the haluva kick and winning matches. So he's the one who's essentially taken from Kevin Owens that edge and that losing your credibility almost. And now he's going to excel Kevin Owens in being even more of a dick than Owens has ever been before. And maybe that's like can build going forward. But I just feel like that's something you should stretch out over a year or a year and a half or so. That's not something you should contain within a 3-month period just because you're so desperate to put these two on the card and you've got no better idea than to put them in a match against each other. So I'm disappointed with how that's gone because there could have been so much potential. Even if you were just going to put them into the tag team title mix or whatever in WrestleMania, they had so much more potential and longevity as a tag team, or just two people looking after each other's backs to help them both win championships going forward. And the fact that it looks like it's going to come to an end pretty much immediately just makes me feel a little bit empty about the entire situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they gave you that impression with how they ended SmackDown, but this whole build to Fastlane with these two has been so peculiar because they get out of the Royal Rumble with every reason in the book that the match should have been restarted. The shoulder was up, there wasn't the right guy, whatever. Then it's, oh, they're going to fight each other to fight AJ. They get around that by saying, we both won, now it's a triple threat. So it's still about, Kevin and Sami and Shane and Daniel. And then, even though they're adding all these different people, every week they're still pushing Kevin, Sami, Shane, Daniel. So I have no clue what's going on there.
Yeah, because, I don't think that this is happening, but if Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon were to team up to fight Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, then you don't do the Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens and the Shane McMahon versus Daniel Bryan kind of angles, because then it makes no sense. Why would they team up with somebody that they don't like? It's almost like, I don't like you, and I also don't like this guy, but Daniel Bryan has been more on the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn side. You can't do the three of them against Shane McMahon. You can't do Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, especially now that Zayn and Owens are kind of feuding. And you can't do Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan against Sami Zayn and Shane McMahon without turning Sami Zayn full-blown babyface and apologizing to Shane McMahon. What do? Do you do Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Shane McMahon with Daniel Bryan sitting on the outside because I don't think he's wrestling? And then at that point, that's another triple threat at WrestleMania. Because we've got the idea that there's potentially a triple threat with Lesnar, Reigns, and Strowman. That's at least an option. We've got a guaranteed triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship, which might turn into a Fatal 4-Way or a Fatal 5-Way. A possible triple threat for the United States title. A possible triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team title. A possible triple threat for the Raw Tag Team titles, or a Fatal 4-Way, or a Fatal 5-Way, or a six-pack challenge. Because they could do The Bar versus Revival, Balor Club, Miztourage, Hardy Boys, whatever. We got the Fatal 4-Way potential with the Raw Women's Championship. My God, how many I don't know, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We can't have every single match be 3 or 4 people in it.
Mm.
Well, this is where you run into the whole issue that it's a WrestleMania tradition to make sure you get everybody on the card.
Actually, I'll argue this is where you run into the issue of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal doesn't mean more.
Mm.
Because you could have Ziggler, Corbin, Mahal, like some of the other people that are involved, Elias, Balor, whatever. You can put big names in there, Seth Rollins, and have people go, oh shit, now I actually want to pay attention because there's like 7 or 8 like decent guys in there, instead of being like there's 2 and then the rest are made up of Primo and Connor and whatever,
But the issue is that over the last 4 years, they haven't made it mean anything.
Right.
So when you put names of that caliber in the match, it feels like they've been relegated.
It's a demotion for them.
Yeah, it feels like a demotion. You kind of feel like, oh, why didn't they spend time booking them a real match at WrestleMania? This doesn't feel like a real match. It feels like a gimmick. I mean, I think there still is some sort... It feels weird because they've done so many teases of Owens and Zayn that you kind of get the impression of one of them's going to help the other one win the match. But that's not going to happen because they're not going to rob the fans of AJ against Nakamura, because if we, having looked at it and analysed it a bit, may have a few contentious issues with the match itself, a lot of people really are desperate to see that match, and they're not going to take it away immediately. But
especially not to have AJ versus Shinsuke versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn and have a fatal 4-way. Like, you can't do that,
But it's along the lines of maybe there's still hope that Sami and Kevin are still going to have a tag team match at WrestleMania against Shane and someone else that we don't know. It probably won't be Bryan, obviously. There's very little chance that he'll be wrestling again, but maybe he decides to call up someone from NXT, or he brings in a legend or something along those lines just to have his back in the match. I still think that could be the course they go down if they don't decide to have a full-blown split between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And at least that gives them a marquee match. It gives Shane a match at WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know who he'd bring in. Maybe, I don't know, Shane's always had kind of a bit of allegiance with the Big Show or something like that, so maybe... I'm throwing that out because I literally have no idea who else they could pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be something that we're not going to get any information, I think, until after Fastlane, but if something happens between Zayn and Owens and in this match itself, then maybe we'll get a little bit more info, but...
Should we move on to the 2, oddballs in this match? I mean,
nobody has anything to say about Corbin, right?
Well, Corbin, this match, unfortunately, I like all 6 guys. All of them have no real meaning to this match other than to give AJ Styles a victory heading into the match with Shinsuke. Corbin, you covered it, Tony. He got screwed all year. Unfortunately, I think he'll be in the ladder match, not the Battle Royal, but he needs to move to Raw and get some fresh blood into his character.
He'll move to Raw and he'll be sacrificed to Roman Reigns for the Universal title.
I wouldn't mind seeing that match, at least. I might be the only one, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I'd care more if I cared more about Corbin, but they crapped on him an entire year.
He's fine in short bursts, but there just hasn't been enough longevity to his character. It's like they care about him 1 week, and then the next couple of weeks they just forgot that they cared about him.
Yeah. So he's here for a number. That's it.
All right, Callum, do you want to go about Ziggler first, or should I?
I guess I should eviscerate him before you try to salvage whatever's left of his faltering career.
Okay.
I've gone through a lot of periods with Dolph Ziggler of different emotions towards him. I used to be a fan. I still will always maintain the fact that he's a good wrestler, and that he does have ability in the ring, and he can put on very good matches with pretty much anybody. Then I go into an anger phase of he's not really doing anything, or he's being too much of a whiner as opposed to someone who's trying to fight for his place. And then that happens so much that I just it happens so often of him constantly complaining and moaning about how he's the best and everything like that. And then I just start to drown it out and start thinking of it as a bit more of a joke. Then he did it on the most recent episode of SmackDown, that promo with AJ, and the anger came back again. Because it's gone to a point of, what? I don't know if it's partly down to him, but it's mainly just due to the way that he's been presented. Of like, what are you trying to do with this guy? Because it's gotten to the point of like, I'm trying to think of a way of like verbalizing it. Dolph Ziggler comes across as a guy that WWE thinks needs to be a top guy, but they never want to actually push him to that level. It's almost like, I don't know whether they think
the assistant manager.
Yeah, kind of that sort of sense. He's like the guy that they think for some reason that fans are desperate to see climb to the top, which I think is like dwindling. I know you guys are big fans of him, so I'm not saying that level is completely like there's no one there that's interested in him being pushed higher. But I think they think that there's more fans than there actually is that want him to be pushed up to that level. So they try and satiate those fans by giving him a few big wins here and there, but for the most part just keeping him buried because they don't actually want him to get that level. But all that leads to is any fans that he did used to have slowly withered away to the point where there's only a few diehard people that want to see him stay in the main event scene or get another world championship run or something along those lines. Whereas the rest of us have just gone to the point of we want Ziggler to be gone. Not just like not near the top, we want him to just disappear completely. Because it's not like he can just be a job guy or something like that. He's had too many moments where he's been too big and he claims so much and he shouts so much about the fact that he's better than everybody else and he's the best in the locker room that we just don't want to see him because he doesn't prove it. He doesn't show it. And we know he's not the best. And we've known for years he's not the best. He's good. He's very good. And yeah, on his day, he can be great. But he's never, ever going to be the guy. No matter how much he shouts and screams about it. So why should we care? Because his only storyline direction or his only character trait at the moment is that he thinks he's the guy. And he's not. And he never, ever will be. So it's not like it's leading to a storyline where eventually he is the guy and it's so exciting. Because if they wanted to do that, they would have done that 2 or 3 years ago when this first started. It's been going on for so long now that even if it does eventually happen, people are going to look at it as a joke as opposed to the culmination of the story. Who just look at it, oh my God, they actually gave Ziggler a world championship. It's almost going to be like when Jinder Mahal won it. Not so much that thing, but it's like, well, he's just a mid-carder.
I think it'll be more along the lines of like when Big Show would win a title. And people would be like, oh, he won another title. Huh.
Yeah.
All right, well, who's he going to drop it to? That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I try not to be so like overly aggressive towards Ziggler because, like I say, he's good, and I don't want to take anything away from his actual ability. And he does cut good promos. They're all saying the same thing that I'm really not in agreement with, but he does deliver it well. But I'm just like, I don't care enough, and I'll never care enough anymore about it. So, and because he's not going to win this match, and he's just going to be in another meaningless match at WrestleMania, just think, why did you come back? Or why did you sign a new contract? How much are they paying you to just be a guy on the roster?
$1.5 million.
I mean, that's a lot of money. I wouldn't turn my nose up to it, but just feel like I know it's a lot of money, and I wouldn't turn that sort of down for the job that he's doing or anything along those lines. So I don't blame you for it, but the back of my mind is thinking, do you not have any self-respect for yourself? Do you not think you could do better somewhere else? Does he not think he could be the guy if he went somewhere else? Does he think he wouldn't make it to the top of New Japan or Ring of Honor or any other places? He wouldn't make as much money, but he could prove that he was better than WWE ever thought he was. And come back and make the same sort of level of money and actually be a guy like when Drew McIntyre came back and was immediately pushed in NXT, or when Cody Rhodes probably comes back, he's probably going to be pushed as a much more serious threat than he ever was. So that gives me the impression that he doesn't think that he knows he wouldn't succeed, or he wouldn't succeed as much as he used to believe he would if he went somewhere else.
Maybe fear of
he's
leaving and not proving himself, and then coming, crawling back and being like,
Yeah.
"Can I get my position back again?" Like that kind of thing.
WWE's a comfort zone. He's in his comfort zone, and he doesn't want to escape it. And that's probably the biggest thing that sticks out to me of why I'm against Ziggler so much, is the fact that he knows he's in a comfy position, and so he's not going to do anything to jeopardize that. Whereas so many people would kill to even be in the position where he is, where he gets like occasional United States Championship runs, or like someone like Rusev or something like that, who is working hard and having good matches and has really gotten a clear connection with the crowd, whether it's like just because of the Rusev Day thing or not. He's got a connection with the crowd, and he can't get in this sort of match. Whereas Ziggler's there by proxy of just being Dolph Ziggler. It's kind of it, really. Like, what has he done to merit this, other than the fact that he 3 or 4 years ago, whatever, was world champion?
Robert, give me a reason to
Sorry.
to be high on Ziggler right now.
That was quite harsh. Sorry, I went on a real monologue there. So,
well, I'm going to agree with you in that they, as a company, need to stop with this thing that the only thing his opponents say, the only thing that he says, the only thing that they say on commentary is, Dolph Ziggler hasn't reached his full potential. Dolph Ziggler should have been the guy. Listen, when you do things like you did with Jinder Mahal, you're exposing that it's all a work, and that if you wanted the guy to be on top even for, 8 months to a year, like with Mahal, you would have done it. I think with Ziggler, and the reason why I won't give up on him, is because one day Vince is going to say, why the fuck are we pushing all these guys that we didn't make? Where's Ziggler? We made Ziggler. Let's put the title on Ziggler. Ziggler is that good. Ziggler got screwed over with the timing that his whole claim was that he was going out there wrestling while Ryback was, being a silverback gorilla. And unfortunately, here came the influx of indie guys to kind of take that away from him. Ziggler will one day find his niche. I think he would have found it on SmackDown had they not gotten cold feet and just pulled the trigger. When the Blue Brand first started up again, he was a major part, and I liked it. I think Ziggler will be fine if he stops doing the Shawn Michaels thing where he tunes up the band.
That's bad.
If he adds a little more of the 2010 Ziggler, where he had like the shorts and his own look, rather than, well, this guy kind of just looks like he's Shawn Michaels light, and there's about 10 of him on the roster, so what makes him more special? I think if we accent what makes Ziggler different than a Seth Rollins or Adam Cole or whoever else does the super kick on the roster, he could be doing well. All he needs is a good direction away from the whole, hey, I should be the guy and I'm not, because that's making guys like Callum, yawn and change the channel, and that's making me sad because I insist on defending him because I know he can be that good. However, this is about Fastlane. Fastlane will not be his night. Let's talk about John Cena. Tony?
I like that. You just had to escape away from it. I could have come back with a lot of other stuff as well. I admire your fandom towards Dolph Ziggler. It's actually impressive, because I could I have probably more ammunition in my gun than you have guns. Let's put it that way.
Well, they don't give me a lot of guns to have. I kind of have this little water gun that I'm trying to, shoot off on everybody, but it's not working.
Well, you brought up John Cena. Let's talk about it. He has to take the pinfall here, I think. I want him to lose. I want him to be the guy that loses, because that makes him desperate.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
He went over, he did the whole thing with the Royal Rumble, he lost. Did the whole thing with the Elimination Chamber, he lost. Pretty much the next night, he goes, hey, Shane, can I have a match? I really want to fucking win a match here. And he goes, yeah, well, you know what? Me and Brian are gonna mull this over. You're John Cena, sure, why not? If he loses, he's the one that specifically takes the pin. No general manager is gonna be like, all right, I'll give you another shot just because you're John Cena. They'll be like, you got enough, man. And then the story gets a lot more interesting because then John Cena turns into, what do I do? And I think it also offsets the idea that Styles just lost to Cena. So he should beat Cena and kind of get that win back a little bit. And I like that idea. I don't know if I would say we're going to see some interference here, because I think that I already mentioned 2 other matches where there's potential interference. I don't think somebody's going to interfere and cost John Cena, but if it happens, maybe it's The Undertaker, maybe it's Samoa Joe, maybe it's somebody else, but I think Cena's involvement in this match is to lose.
Your scenario makes a lot of sense. I don't know whether they're actually going to do it or not, but it would make the most logical sense that he takes the pinfall and does go on to a line of desperation. I don't think there should be interference because I don't think there should be something that clouds Cena losing it, because it doesn't really play into the desperation or the desperation aspects of, oh shit, I've lost all of these matches, I've lost all of these opportunities. I'm not going to be in a good match at WrestleMania or in a marquee match at WrestleMania if I don't do something now. If someone interferes, because then there's an immediate linear path to who he faces at WrestleMania.
It becomes, you screwed me, I want to fight you at Mania.
Yeah, which is like, it's a perfectly serviceable way of doing things, but it's less interesting than the way that you're suggesting. So
plus, you could do like Corbin and Ziggler are fighting on the outside, Zayn and Owens are fighting on the outside, and then you got Styles pinning Cena. You know, it explains why somebody isn't interrupting the pinfall, because the 4 other people are busy 2-on-2. Or Owens is fighting Corbin and Ziggler's fighting Zayn. Like, you just pair them all up. It doesn't really matter. But that implies, of course, too, that AJ Styles retains. I think we're all going with AJ Styles retaining, right?
Yeah, I don't see any way around AJ Styles retaining because, like I said when we were talking about Shinsuke, their whole thing for SmackDown at WrestleMania is Shinsuke and AJ are going to have this show-stealing match, which is fine. I don't expect anything but AJ retaining here. With John, I don't see him eating the pinfall unless it's, he's about to pin whoever, the gong hits, lights come up, AJ hits him with the phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3.
I understand that story. I'm not saying that scenario definitely won't happen. It's like, it certainly has a possibility to it. I just don't see what the incentive The Undertaker has at the moment. And maybe that's something that would be explored beyond that point.
For the lulz.
Well, I've thought about every possible match that they have been rumored to give John. The Mysterio thing, even though I thought it was far-fetched, I didn't dislike it. I just thought it would have been better served 10 years ago. The way they could have gotten there would be John goes crazy, beats everybody up in this match with a chair, still can't get the job done, comes out on SmackDown or Raw, beats up more people with weapons, and then Ray goes, wait, John, this isn't you, or what about the kids, or whatever. But with Joe, which I don't know if he's healthy, that's the real linear, like, okay, you cost me this match. Well, hey, thank you. You give me a road to WrestleMania. I'm going to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
With Taker, and they did this weird thing where he's like, I'm going to fight The Undertaker. Nope, because they said he can't do it anymore. Taker can come out and be like, nobody makes decisions for me but me. You want me at WrestleMania, your ass is on,
Yeah.
That's the only way. Unfortunately, it just all seems so blah. Here's a big match because he's John Cena and he needs a big match. I'd almost rather the triple threat scenario because at least there's reasoning there. There's real hard reasoning as to why that would happen. Anyone else feel like that?
I don't want to see a triple threat just because there's going to be too many triple threats anyway.
We've said that too many times.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I mean,
plus I don't think that this is a good enough spot for him to win that 17th world title.
No, I think that needs to be at like either a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, like a big stage.
I want a build up to it.
Yeah, I think it's just that people are just going to crap all over the result of the match if it happens. And it's not, and again, it's not a case of like, oh, people are just booing Cena because it's Cena. It's like, no, they're booing the idea that someone actually decided that Cena would be involved in that match as opposed to just letting it be the singles match that everyone wanted. So I think they could go along the lines of having John lose this match, getting desperate, and then maybe even this idea of, okay, so John Cena doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. Like the idea about The Undertaker doesn't really come forward, and you've got someone like Samoa Joe waiting in the wings, but you don't have a lot of time to contain a story. What if John Cena was just to come out and say, I'm going to have a match at WrestleMania because, not so much to say because I'm John Cena, but I need a match at WrestleMania. So I'm going to come out at the start of WrestleMania, like he just says this on an episode of Raw or SmackDown, like just cuts a promo, says, I will come out immediately at the start of WrestleMania, whether people want me to or not, and I'm issuing an open challenge to anybody in the wrestling world or whatever. You do that, you have him go out, and then someone, be it from NXT, be it someone they bring in for like one night only on a one night deal or whatever, comes in and fights John Cena.
Oh my god, it's one half of the Young Bucks.
I love that idea. That's one of those ones like, wow, we put way more thought into this than they did, and you know it, but
you keep it like a complete surprise who his opponent is, because you know the person they face, it's going to be a big deal because like they're facing John Cena, so it's got to be a big match. And they'll
Joe Rawley.
I mean, as long as they don't do something stupid like that, but even if it's Joe, because Joe could be, even though he's obviously a part of the main roster, it's still a big deal because he's making a return. If it's The Undertaker, it's like, oh my god, we didn't expect The Undertaker to be on the show. If it's someone like, I don't know, The Rock could, thrice in a lifetime, really. But you never know. If it's someone like, I don't know, Jericho maybe.
The problem is there's nobody like wow. There's not enough of a wow factor with anybody. Even if you did somebody like Joe, it'd be like, okay, well, why didn't they build this to some extent? It's just Joe, you know. If you do,
it would have to be Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You could imagine it's EC3 as well, because John Cena and EC3 are like really close friends as well. So
they are?
Yeah, they're like gym buddies and stuff like that. They go way back. Like,
oh yeah, maybe that's a way to do it then. And give him like a real big push, you know?
Yeah.
Like, or
if it's someone from NXT that you're trying to push immediately, like, I don't know, someone in NXT, like, you'd probably have to go with some. I'm probably thinking more like a Lars Sullivan, really.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to just immediately strap the rocket to someone and say, because in that scenario of an open challenge, you'd have to imagine that the person facing Cena would win.
Right. They would have to, or else if it would be some kind of thing where Cena would screw him or something like that, which he wouldn't do because he's a babyface and stuff. Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know, like, it just, having that scenario in my mind, I don't know if they'll run with it or anything like that, but if that scenario in mind, you just have your mind filled with so many different possibilities. Like, oh my god, have they struck a deal with New Japan or Ring of Honor or something to get one of their top stars to appear? Like, get Okada to appear in WrestleMania or something like that. You just go, what?
And it's one of the only shows that it would work because everybody knows that everybody who's anybody is in town.
Mm.
So it's one of the things where you could go, well, it could be Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega's in town. You know, like, that would be kind of cool.
Well, we're all going Styles.
Yeah. I think the overarching thing with this match.
It's just a matter of who does he pin.
You want me to depress you guys? Don't rule out the fact that they could do something with Kevin and Sami, and then it's just Shane and John versus Kevin and Sami.
I mean, there could be there's worse things, but it seems like a bit of a waste of Cena, really.
And the mixed tag match wasn't.
Yeah. Well, if he proposes to Shane McMahon at the end of it, then. Well, Fastlane is coming up this Sunday, of course. As always, we're going to be doing our post-show afterward, talking about what our thoughts are of what actually did happen, and we'll know better about what's going to happen on the road to WrestleMania for the last 5 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is, to see if anything ends up being better or worse from what we're talking about here. But at least those are our predictions on Wednesday afternoon. Maybe things will change. Maybe they'll add another match or two, or maybe somebody will get injured or whatever, and maybe it changes all up. I don't know. And maybe this is one of those oddball kind of scenarios where Fastlane's kind of cool. I'm not kind of expecting that. So no matter what it is, the review will be coming up after the show. The live coverage will be up on the website. The chat will be up on the Mega Maniacs and all that other kind of stuff. In the meantime, drop your predictions below and tell us what you think is going to be happening. Go on the website, too, and take part in the predictions contest. You don't win anything, but why not? It's kind of fun. And, yeah, that's it. So, when you want to be aware of when we do our post-show, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and ring the bell for notifications. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Make sure that you follow these guys as well. You've got Robert over there at Dude Felice.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to put out there?
Yeah, Triple Threat drops, tomorrow or Thursday? I'm in the Triple Threat this week for SmackDown.
Already posted it.
Oh, it's there, and I'm on it.
Oh, just what we need, another Triple Threat match.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't even escape it.
Yeah. It's like a weekly thing nowadays.
Yeah,
I'll be here with Tony. Callum won't because it'll be the crack of dawn where he is. So I'll be covering the post show with Tony, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll let you two handle that. I'm saving up
Callum,
my energy.
anything you want to toss out there?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14, and if you want to hear me on a post show, wait until WrestleMania.
There you go. And follow Fanboys Anonymous stuff all over the Fanboys Anonymous website and the YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitter and whatever like that. If you want to be aware of that kind of stuff, the next thing that's going to be coming up is going to be the Jessica Jones review. Season 2 is coming out tonight, I think. I don't know. Or 3 a.m. tomorrow or whatever. Sometime soon. So between Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I'll be having my full Season 2 recap and my live thoughts, my stream of consciousness thoughts during that up on fanboysanonymous.com. Check that stuff out if you're interested in that. And that's it. Yeah, lots of articles coming your way from a lot of freelance kind of things and much, much more. So thanks for listening to this, everybody. Fastlane 2018 coming up this Sunday. And thankfully, no more podcast stuff until then. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.